welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be taking a step back from the Arduino tutorial series where I get to be a 10x coder in my head. And today we're going to be building a server, a home server, for me to store all my work on and put it in a centralized location so I can access it through all of my computers. This is a case that we're going to be using. It is a bit of an older case. I do believe it was manufactured in 2009, but it's I think it's considered a medium-sized case, but it has more than enough space for everything that we may need to put into it. As far as future Blu-ray players, extra hard drives down the road, any NIC cards we need to use to connect to the internet, or I should say the Wi-Fi, so we can share it with all of our other systems. This is the motherboard that we're going to be using. It's also an older motherboard, a Maximus Hero 6, or 6 Hero, excuse me. It is a bit of an older gaming computer, but it still has the ability to have up to 32 gigs of RAM with an i5 processor, so it may be older, but still has plenty of processing power. Okay, so moving into the actual case itself, we ended up rescuing this case from a storage shed at one of my friends' properties. It had been staying out there for a number of years, so you can imagine weather, dust storms, wind storms, and all of the like. Yeah, as you can tell, this thing is absolutely filthy. It is dirty inside and out. So what we're going to be doing is we are going to completely strip the entire case, the front fascia, the top fascia, and the front and back panels. We're going to remove everything and we're going to take it off and clean it. And we're going to try to do our best to clean the acrylic. The acrylic was a little harder to clean up. It really wasn't too forthcoming on the matter, but I think we did an alright job with it. So, as we get started with this, I had to situate the camera a little bit. So, the only unfortunate thing though is having such an old computer case is parts are going to be hard to come by. This piece right here is the hard drive tray. It's an amazing piece. It sits right up, the case can hold 4 of them. But the only problem is with it being so old, I had an extremely difficult time trying to locate new ones. So we will end up 3D printing some new ones so that way we can take full benefit of the hard drive tray that's sitting inside of this case. So it's, yeah, very difficult to come by the old parts, so we're going to have to custom make it. So we're going to be taking the holding screws off to reveal the inside of this. It's a very nice setup. The whole system was designed for toolless work, so everything is either clipped or slotted for you to be able to very easily put in and take out stuff. All your peripherals. I do believe this is, I think it can be, I think it can be an ATX and an ITX case. We're going to be using it as an ATX case. And be using that, obviously, that motherboard we saw a few moments ago. There is the hard drive rack where all those hard drives sit at. Really nifty. Like I had mentioned earlier, this whole system is designed to be able to be used without tools. And it's really slick, actually. I think this is going to be a great selection for being used as a server system. Because if we ever need to replace or upgrade hard drives, very minimal work will be needed to actually upgrade this system. And we will also be putting a couple of decks up on top. Up the 5.25 area, we'll be putting 2 hard drive racks up there, so that way we can really benefit take benefit of the maximum space of this computer case. As you can tell, it is absolutely filthy inside this thing too. It's been sitting outside and collecting dust for a very long time, so it's about as dirty on the inside as it was on the outside. So when cleaning these things, it can be actually pretty easy and straightforward when having to deal with this stuff. You can easily take this stuff out and blow it off with an air compressor. I didn't go about that direction as I was being kind of lazy and really didn't want to go out there. But as long as you're willing to completely remove all of the wiring, the buttons, the USB ports, there's no reason why you can't go through this thing in a tub with some nice warm soapy water and a brush and just wipe everything down. And see, now I took the front faceplate off and the top fascia as well. These were just pressure fitted in. Some will have hooks you'll kind of have to push open to pop off, but this thing was super easy to work with. But as you can tell, it is just super dirty everywhere. But again, you can easily take a brush and some nice warm soapy water and go put it in the shower or the tub and just spray it down and scrub it. Just remember, take all the electronics off of it, all the buttons and the USB ports and stuff again, because you don't want to ruin that stuff, right? But there's no reason why you can't do that. I decided to go probably the most difficult route because I just wanted to make sure everything was easy to record and put on camera. And I ended up using a vacuum and some alcohol with a nice washcloth, and I just wiped the whole system down. There is plenty of ventilation on these things, as you can tell. That front piece right there down at the bottom can hold a 140 millimeter fan. I think there's two up on top, and there's a 120 in the back. So ventilation was no big deal for this thing. So here we get into the split screen. Hope you don't mind. I kind of played with the camera setup a little bit just so I can figure out some more things to play around with and try to provide better entertainment for you viewers. And I appreciate getting the clicks. But as I said a moment ago, you can tell, and now I'm doing the vacuuming, and I have my isopropyl, and I'm just wiping everything down. Obviously, one came, then the next, but I figured it'd be kind of cool to bust out a somewhat of an Ocean's 11 feel to it, and we'll cover multiple things at the same time. But if you do end up going my route, which some people might want to or might have to, just make sure to thoroughly vacuum everything you can possibly get that vacuum into. Every crevice, every corner, every nook, every cranny, just make sure to get as much of the dirt and the dust off as you can, inside and out. You'll be surprised at how much you would miss once you put the fans in there and they start circulating. If anything's loose, you'll see it come out of the back of the fan before too long. I know it's not the end of the world, but yeah, just better to avoid that kind of stuff. Clean computer's a happy computer, right? So just make sure to, as thoroughly as you possibly can, just vacuum everything you can on that case. Also, on the flip side, on the right side of the screen, if you're going to be wiping stuff down, you can use Windex, you can use Clorox, I would think. I'm using isopropyl, and I'm just soaking the rag and just wiping everything down. It's a really good way to clean. You can clean electronics with it too. It doesn't, just don't go hog wild, but it won't hurt electronics if you get it on the board, which is great. Because if you get these things wet and power them on and forget to dry the case properly, the water can short the motherboard out or anything you may have plugged into it. So that's one thing to be aware of. You want to make sure to be really careful of that. That's one of the big reasons why I decided to go with isopropyl. Not only because it's a really good cleaning agent, but I mean, I wasn't being sloppy. But if you ever end up cleaning in volumes of which that could the residue can linger a little bit, you don't have to worry about getting on the electronics and ruining them. Now I'm removing the DVD player on there. That shows you how old this case is. The top two most registers are supposed to be quick releases, but they were that DVD player was totally cinched down on there. No big deal, but we got the screwdriver out and we pulled that thing out of there. We're not going to be using it, so there's no reason to have it in there. And as you can tell, not from the right screen, but from the left screen, since I synced these up. I wanted to sync them up towards the end because, you know, Ocean's 11 kind of feel. Thought it'd be kind of cool. But as I start working on it, you can see that when I show it off, it is probably just as bad as the case itself is. Again, like I said, the screws were on there. It was supposed to have the quick release clips on the side, but wasn't so much so. Yeah, let's oh yeah, I forgot I had done that. I double timed these next two segments because it's just me doing some general work, and obviously you don't need to sit here and just watch and wait for everything to tick by. But as I pull it out, you can tell that thing is just, it is filthy dirty. But no big deal. We're not going to be using it. After I pull it out of there, I continue with some more of my cleaning. A toothbrush, if you have an old toothbrush around, they are excellent for cleaning stuff. And like I said, put some isopropyl on there. You can actually use that to clean your electronics. And that's what I ended up doing with the power button, the reset up there, and the USBs. I ended up using the toothbrush to really make sure just to scrub them out, get the dirt out of there, and clean them up. So a good old toothbrush is an excellent tool for cleaning electronics. Here, I'm taking off of the tape. I don't need that stuff in there. It's not something I need, so it ends up getting removed. And a funny thing, you can see the manufacturing tag there, and I do believe it does say 2009, so this is a very old computer case. Which is it's funny, even though they're super old, still get good use out of them. And again, we'll move all the tape off of this, and we'll get the isopropyl out. Oh yeah, and it's really good for removing tape residue. So if you're trying to clean anything up, the isopropyl is always really good for cleaning up that kind of stuff. And then I laid down the case and made sure to clean the underside of the inside of the case. You always want to make sure, like I had mentioned, just be as thorough as you can. You want to make sure you clean absolutely everything on that case, inside and out. If I have any ex-military viewers out there, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about, especially when it comes to cleaning your rifle. Even when you can't get any more crap off of it, the drill sergeant will make sure you keep on cleaning it. But yeah, so I'm cleaning the inside of the hard drive bay, just making sure that there's not going to be anything inside there, since there is going to be a nice big old 140 millimeter fan sitting in front of that. Don't want to be picking anything up and throwing it onto the hard drives. It's not quite a sterile environment, but you always want to make sure that it's pretty clean. So now that we have it all cleaned up, I pull the hard drive. I pull the motherboard out of the static clean bag, and as you can tell, it's a little dusty. It's been sitting around for a little bit. It's got an i5 in it. It's a little bit of an older i5, but it's still a pretty powerful CPU. It's got a dual channel RAM on it that can hold up to 32 gigs. We don't have the 32 gigs in it in this video, but we will eventually be upgrading to it. And then, so we are here. We're prepping or cleaning the motherboard up a little bit, or we're going to. I'm going to get that toothbrush again and kind of scrub it a little bit. You don't really need to get the toothbrush wet with anything. If you're just doing general dust removal from your motherboard, you always want to be careful with that kind of stuff. Also, make sure that you're always statically grounded to something, because one static shock will ruin components. I don't know how many other videos anybody's watched about building computers, but please make sure that you're statically grounded. All it takes is one. You may get away with it once, but it just takes once for it to ruin your day, for it to ruin your computer. After we get the motherboard properly seated in there, it's time to start screwing it down. There is a number of screws that hold this thing in place. I already have the peripheral plate on the back clipped in. I had it in from the beginning. As this was sold as a piece to me, the motherboard and case was one for piece, or one whole setup for me when I bought it off my friend. But yeah, so everything's got cleaned up, obviously, and we started assembling the process, start going over the process of assembling it again. So we're going to use my nifty electric screwdriver. I love that thing. It's awesome. Make short work of all this kind of stuff. But we'll start setting all the screws in, and we will start getting this thing locked down, and so we can start with our start getting everything in there and getting underway with the build. I don't know if I showed on here, but I did go back through after I used my electric screwdriver, and I used my handheld just to make sure all the screws were tight. They don't need to be super tight, but tight enough. So you just want to make sure that it's held in place and it's not going to be going anywhere. So yeah. So that is video one. I'm sorry I had to dub this whole thing. I was being a real genius when I set this up and I forgot to turn my mic on. So everything's muffled. But thank you for viewing this. This is probably going to be video one of possibly 2 or even 3. I'm not sure how much I'm going to get done in the next 2 videos, or how everything's going to be edited so it all fits. But again, thank you for your patience. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope I see you in the next episode.